Hello there, my name is Alex, welcome to my channel. Today we are discussing about this beautiful power bank. This is one of the most advanced power banks you can find on the market. It has a lot of smart features, and actually I bought this only because of this small display where you can monitor the input and output wattage. The reason I wanted to see this is because I will use this with solar panels on the go, and I wanted to be able to see how much power I'm getting from the solar panel. This can help you also orient your solar panels better so that you get the most out of them. So let's start with the review. The name of this power bank is Omni 20 Plus, and it's produced by the company Omnicharge. With this power bank you can power everything as long as it's not exceeding the 100 watts limit. And I'm saying you can power everything because you have also an inverter. So here on the front we see the 100 watt inverter, the wall socket, USB-C port with 60 watts output, and DC out port. This is also up to 100 watts. And for those who like it, you also have wireless charging. Now on the back of the box you can see a bit more details here. I don't want to go through them because I will explain probably everyone in particular, but I would say here you can see rated capacity on the box 70 watt hour. And also very important, the input power maximum 45 watts. This is the input power using the DC plug or the USB-C plug, because you can charge this both ways. We can see here what is in the box, but let's open the box and see it. I must admit the packaging is very good quality, but normally I'm not always very happy because of this, because that means the packaging cost is higher and the cost is already including when you buy the device. Let's quickly see what you have in the box. So first you have this review request. You can get some accessories for Omnicharge if you leave a review. Then we have the user manual, and I will show you quickly the pages here because I know for some people this is quite important. I would always like to see what is in the manual because the manual is the most detailed information you can find about the product. So I will not read this through, but you can pause the video and read it if you are interested. What I can see here, we have here 71 watt hour, not 70 watt hour as on the outside of the box. And you have here some information that you need to calibrate the battery. I already did this. I'm using this battery now for almost 2 months. And the next pages are in another language. So that's the manual for you. You have here also a manual for safety, warnings and warranty. Now I opened a bit the aperture on my camera so that you can see this product because it's all black and it's not so easy to film something that is black. So let's go quickly through the content in the box. First we have this USB-C to USB-C cable. Second we have a USB-A to USB-C cable. Next you have this travel adapter. I'm assuming if you buy this in United States, it will possibly look different, but that's everything except the power bank. So now let's see the power bank. Now, of course, the power bank has a bit of weight to it, so let's see how much this power bank weighs. So I quickly brought here a scale and let's see. So it's almost perfect 600 grams. That is not so much if you consider that this can basically double your battery life for a laptop. Now let me introduce you to all the inputs and outputs on this power bank. In the front we have of course the power button, 2 additional buttons and 2 USB charging ports with quick charge 3 up to 15 watts. Normally I know that quick charge 3 should go up to 18 watts, but on the packaging it says this go up to 15 watts. Now on the left side we have this wall plug, and this supports maximum 100 watts. Now let's see what's on the other side. And on the other side we have the inputs and outputs that I use the most. So this is the DC in and out. For the DC in you have maximum 45 watts. You can charge this with solar as well. It will even recognize that you charge it with solar, and it will show you a solar symbol. But you can also charge this with a normal charger if you have this kind of barrel plug charger. The next port here is of course the USB Type-C, and this one can be also charging the battery with 45 watts. The output of this one is 60 watts, and the output of the DC port is actually 100 watts. The same as for the AC inverter. Now, on the top you have the wireless charger, but you cannot see it. I think maybe it would be interesting to have the zone here, because if you put your phone here it doesn't charge. You need to put it here. So now let's start testing this power bank. First thing on the list, let's get it started and go through all the menus. So on the main screen we can see the battery percentage. We can see here on the left the input power and the output power, or the power consumption. On the right you can see here the voltage for the DC plug, and you can also see the temperature of the cells inside. When this is powered on you can see that these buttons light up, and these two buttons here are for the USB, for the wireless charging, and for the inverter. The DC plug, you need to activate it from the menu, and USB-C is always on. Basically, if it detects something needs to be charged, it will charge that device. If it detects that you use a charger to charge the battery, it will charge the battery. Now, if you simply press this button, the screen will go off, but the power will still be on. Press it again to show the display, and then to enter in the menu you have to double press the power button. Now you can see here all the options, and we will go through all of the options exactly as I wish everybody would do when they review this kind of things, because if I want to buy this I want to see everything. So when I go to the DC out, we can clearly see all the voltages we can select. Normally on the top you always have the last setting you used. Now, one of the protection system this power bank has, if you have used the DC port, you have disconnected it, automatically the DC port is shut off, because if you plug something else in and it's not the right voltage, this may harm your device. And because of this, actually I think it's quite a good idea to turn off this DC port when you're not using it. But if you only use one device with the DC port, this may be annoying because you always have to go into the menu and select it again. But for me it already saved me a couple of times, because I use different voltage on this DC out, so I think it's quite good. Now, if we select, for example, 20 volts 5 amps, you will get this warning: incorrect setting may harm your device. And that is true, so pay attention. Check on your device what voltage it needs. If I press yes, you will see here the symbol DC, and you will have to connect this. Yeah. Let's go back in the menu. Second option here is wall socket, and for the European model you have these two selections here. I don't know why you would use 300 volts, but maybe you can let me know. Next setting is about the USB. Do you want these USB ports on the front to be default on or off when you power on the battery? For me it's default off because I don't use them so much. They are not so powerful and I'm actually using much more the USB-C port. Now here we can see the screen settings, and my setting now, it tells the battery to never turn off the display, but if I want to turn it off, you see I just only press once the power button. But you can set it to 1 minute or 5 minutes. I set it to never because I always like to see the input and output power, and this doesn't consume so much. You can see it's a very small display. Now the next setting is auto shutdown. And here you have again never 1 minute or 5 minutes. Of course I have it to never. Next setting is about the temperature, and this is actually just to select between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Then you have another settings about the button light. So I have it by default on, but you can also have it off. Why you would need to have it off? Maybe you sleep and this light is disturbing you. But I have it default on. And you have here some information about this product. Let's quickly see what's inside. So the model Omni 20 Plus, and you see here capacity 73 watt hours. If you remember, on the box I had 70 watt hour, on the manual I had 71 watt hour, and here I can see 73 watt hour. On the back of the device you have also some additional information, and as you can see here we have a different capacity. It's a bit strange for me that a company like Omnicharge, that pays attention to so much detail, messes this up in the documentation, in this on the box in the manual. I think this is the real capacity, but let's move on. One thing I forgot to mention about this power bank before I start testing it is that this material, it's a very nice feeling material. It's that kind of rubber feeling. I'm hoping this will not have problems in the future, but after 2 months of using it, it still looks fine. Okay, so I would say let's start testing this. I will first start testing the inputs and then we will go to the outputs. So my first input test is with a DC plug. You simply plug this into the barrel and you can see here the input rising up. It will take a few moments until you get to the maximum power. Depending on the percentage of the battery, it will allow more power or less power. So let's see where this goes. Normally, if it's empty, after a few seconds it will start charging with 45 watts. Now we can see this is almost full, so it will only allow 40 watts. The same maximum 45 watts are also when you are using a solar panel. So now I want to charge this via USB Type-C with this 100 watt charger. This is a gun charger. I will do a review on this. This is very small for 100 watt charger. So let's see how this performs. I'm connecting now the USB-C input. You can see here it says the input is the Type-C, and you have the charging symbol, and a surprise, you see here this one is charging with 45 watts. This means probably also with the DC input you could do the 45 watts at this battery capacity. My DC plug here comes from another battery, so it's possible that that battery was not pushing enough. But normally this is the maximum you can charge this power bank with. Now let's do some math and see how much time you would need to fully recharge this battery. So if the battery capacity of this power bank is 73 watt hour and you can charge it with 45, you divide 73 by 45 and you get 1.6. So 1 hour and a half should be enough to fully charge this if you have a 45 watt PD charger, or if you're having this DC input. Using this with the big blue solar panel, I can charge this normally in any condition if there is sun in around 2 hours. Okay, so we tested both the inputs for this power bank. Let's now test the outputs. So first I want to test the DC output. So for this I'm using this device. This device can draw up to 150 watts. So this should be more than enough to test this rated output of 100 watts. I'm using this kind of cable with barrel connectors. The first thing I would do is go into the settings and select the maximum voltage here. This is 20 volts, 5 amps. Now I see the DC symbol and I can plug this in. Now, as you can see, we of course have 20 volts, and with these dials I can raise up the amps. You can see it's easily going up. I will also monitor this directly on this display. So you can see here I get the maximum of 91 watts, and actually this is because this cable is not the high quality cable and it loses a bit on the cable. But let's now focus on this display so that you can also see exactly what this is showing. So as you can see here, I have the output of 97 watts. If I raise this any further, it will simply stop. And you can see here I also have the voltage indicator, 20 volts. This cable is getting a bit warm, so I will stop the test now. If you want to use this 20 volts, make sure you have a proper wire. So the first output is fine, it can get up to 100 watts, no problem. If you go over this 100 watts, there is no big deal, it will simply stop it and you need to start again with a normal power. Now I need to find something powerful enough to draw the 60 watts from the USB Type-C. And I have here something very nice. This is the Razer Blade Stealth. It's a gaming laptop that can be charged using the Type-C. So to actually draw the 60 watts, I have to start this and start a game. This will consume enough for it to be drawing the maximum USB-C power. Keep in mind that on the DC power you always lose power on the length of the cable. So if you really need to have a long DC cable, make sure that is as thick as possible. Now you can see here, even without starting anything, we already can see 55 watts. And this is because this is now starting to charge my battery. But I want to open quickly a game and see what happens. Because I have seen that I can easily power the laptop with this battery and I can play the games at 60 FPS. It's almost like you're plugged into the wall. Now this Razer Blade Stealth has a charger of 100 watts, but I have seen that it works fine also with 60 watts. Of course it will limit a bit the components inside, or it will not be able to keep up with the charging if you're using it like this. But still you can enjoy some smooth gameplay. So I'm now inside a game. It's Euro Truck Simulator 2, but it doesn't matter. It seems that the maximum it will give me on USB Type-C, it's 55 watts. So from the rated power we have here a 5 watt difference, and I'm sure that the laptop is trying to get as much power as he can from this power bank. I'm using a thick cable, so I would say this is the maximum you can expect from the power delivery USB Type-C port. But what do you think? Is this close enough to 60? In my opinion, it does the job. Next, I would like to see what is the output power of the inverter. We have a promised 100 watts. I cannot tell you if the laptop will draw so much at the moment, but let's use this 100 watt charging brick and see what happens. I first connected everything and I will now start the inverter. And as you can see now, we are using more power. The laptop is needing now over 60 watts. Over these 2 months I tested this with different devices, and I think I can easily say you will get up there with 100 watts. The only thing that I need to mention here, this is not a pure sine wave inverter, because the pure sine wave inverter, it's a bit bigger and you cannot expect in a form factor so small to have a pure sine wave inverter. Because of this, some of your devices will not like it so much. You may hear weird noises or buzzes. For example, I tried this with the Xbox One S, and the power source on that device really didn't like it. I heard a lot of buzzing in the transformer of the Xbox One S. So you'll have to keep that in mind. But I think as an emergency inverter, it's good to have, because normally in this power range, in this capacity range, most of the batteries are comparable to this one. But this one also includes this inverter, which I think it's quite amazing to have. Now also let's quickly test the USB ports. Now my phone is charging, but it's definitely not fast charging. So I don't know about these 2 ports. Doesn't look to me that they are quick charge compatible, because this Pixel phone is definitely quick charge compatible. We can see here we go up to 15 watts, but this is using both USB ports. So for the wireless charging, I will use this Pixel 3 XL. You can use every compatible wireless charging phone. You need to make sure that the USB port is activated, because this will also power on the wireless charger. And you simply place this on top. And you can see we are charging wirelessly. Now, before I finish this review, I also did a capacity test of this device. So using the DC output with 80 watts, I was able to get 60 watt hours out of this power bank. But I think this is because I was drawing almost the maximum this power bank can handle. And of course, if you try to get the most out of it, you will have to use less power. So I'm sure that if you're using these USB ports, or if you're using power delivery with 30 watts, you will get a better capacity, because you always lose something through heat and so on when you go to bigger power. In my test with 80 watts discharging through the DC port, when the battery arrived at around 10%, it also overheated and shut down. So I think the overheating is shutting this thing off at around 60 degrees Celsius. But I was measuring the exterior case and it was around 38 degrees. So I think this has an interior sensor in the cell area. Now I think it's good that it has this overheating sensor and it's shutting it off, but I think this is a limitation you need to know, because if you need to draw, for example, 90 watts continuously out of this. It may be that it will overcharge and then you cannot fully discharge this at the maximum power. You can of course charge every power delivery laptop on the market with this. From what I've seen, most of them support this 60 watts power delivery charging. I'm using this also with the MacBook Pro, didn't have any trouble at all. So yeah, in the end, this is the power bank that I like the most from all the power banks I have. And if you subscribe to this channel, you will see also the review of the other ones. I have a few ones that are bigger than this, but they don't have so much functionality as this one. This is a premium power bank. I agree that it's a bit more expensive, but if it's the only power bank you want to have, I would go for this one. And especially if you want to use some portable solar panels, this is perfect because you have this DC input and you can also monitor the solar input. So that's it for today. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the section below, because I will not return this. I like this very much, and probably I will be able to test whatever you want to find out about this battery. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time, have a good one.